Hey, we're live. What's up, everybody? This is Matt from Rocky's War Room, and I'm here today with Tabletop Warlords Kevin and Sergey.
What's up?
What's up, guys?
Mr. Tim Bancroft.
Hello.
And not Jay.
Howdy, folks.
And we're here tonight, or today, this morning, whenever you're listening to it, to talk about one of my favorite factions, the Boromites. So I think me and Sergey are going to get along really well this time.
The Boromites are terrible.
They have swiftly become my absolute favorite faction. I don't want to play anything else right now.
Well, I have just started painting them because I actually found a decent paint scheme that I wanted to paint them because I was there laying in bed wondering what to do. No, just kidding. I knew I wanted them blue or purple. So I tried the blue and liked it better than the purple that I painted my brood mother. So, but anyway, Tim,
Yes.
you want to start us off and give us kind of a little overview of Boromites? Is that okay?
Let's have a 2-paragraph overview then. The Boromites are an ancient and extreme pan-human morph. They were bioengineered for asteroid mining with an incredibly high resistance to radiation and adverse atmospheric conditions. As they expanded from their original asteroid belts around Borom, which is where they were built and tailored, they developed into an itinerant, close-knit workforce, albeit one that can feel physically uncomfortable on normal pan-human worlds. A lot of other pan-humans consider Boromites to be taciturn, secretive, and perhaps even chauvinistic. However, the truth is the society is ruled by guildesses and clan matriarchs, and they have great respect for the women folk and cannot understand why others do not feel the same. They've lost Borom, so that was founded during about the Second Age, which is a long time ago. And having lost Borom, there is a group of them who is the Guild of the Underfallen, who are still looking for their birthplace. All the other guilds just operate as normal, and they control a whole groups of clans, if you like, or clans, I should say, join together to function or a guild, or they join a guild. But there are some clans who cross guild lines. So you'll find the red-skinned clan, the Ha'alut, who will actually be members in a whole bunch of different guilds, but they're almost like a separate group within the Boromite society as a whole. What they like on the tabletop? Well, just quickly, briefly, because I'm sure the others will discuss this in great detail because they love them so much. They are hand-to-hand people, really. They have got loads and loads of tools which they grab from their workplace. So things like tractor mauls, which tear rock from workplaces. They've got
Mass compactors
who basically just compress rock into, well, very small state, which means it's easy to drag out. They have got fractal weaponry and frag borers, which basically disrupts the fabric of the rock or anything else they're tunneling through. And they have got things like Vorpal chargers, which is a name Rick particularly likes, but it's actually an antimatter bomb. Sorry, an antimatter stroke matter device, which basically wombles off on its own once you've launched it, and can be incredibly dangerous, but it's very good for hollowing out caverns. I sometimes wonder if it's effectively just a sort of like a small, I don't know, a small black hole in there, which gradually decays. On the table, though, it's good fun. The key thing about the Boromites is that they also have genetically engineered a whole bunch of creatures to help them with their mining, and these are the larvan species. And we cannot talk about Boromites without mentioning the larvan species. There we go. There is a Locomite. That is a fast one. There are other ones who are smaller, and they are just generally called rock dogs. And then you've got the slightly bigger, nastier ones, which is what that looks like. I don't know, might be, who are a little bit more horrific, but they're still fundamentally just lava mites. Then you've got little hatchlings,
Oh, I
And
was
we're
so
waiting
prepared for
Sergei's
this.
shirt. Hooray!
Look at Sergey go.
All the recent hatchlings, and of course, they are laid as eggs in surrounding rock. Well, I don't know if they're eggs or rock. They're laid as rock eggs in rock. Then they hatch, and they look like just mobile eggs. And then they gradually morph and grow into bigger beasts. What lays them, though, is the matriarch. It's not the matriarch. It is the broodmother. So as you can see, she has got just one, like all of the larva mites, she's just a mouth trying to eat stuff. But around her skin, you'll see larvans crawling across the surface, little hatchlings crawling across the surface. I can't see them there. There's one. There we go.
Climbing out of the.
Yeah, there's one climbing out of the back there. So effectively, the larva mite hatchlings are really sort of like just mobile eggs, really. Then they grow and develop. But what Boromites also do is...
There you go. Put them back together. You got it.
drill weapon mounts into the surface of the broodmother like that. And just fix
them with very feeble magnets.
Yeah. And they also have things called micromites, who are sort of like little spotter come scout.
I unfortunately don't have micromites.
No, and they effectively had much of their sensory system hollowed out and put on some
You had one job, Sergey.
tech put in its place. So that's them in a summary. Their main issue is they are incredibly tough in hand-to-hand, and they are intensely loyal. So they have got very high very high command. They don't have a very good initiative, and they can be a bit slow.
Yes, they can.
Slow as in they don't move fast, or slow as in duh?
No, they're slow as they don't move fast.
Okay.
They are just as intelligent as normal pan-humans. The Gildesses probably more so. The general miner may not look as if he's much, and he'll act like a thug in a bar fight, perhaps. Though I would never, ever, ever pick on one, because a pat on the back from one of them will probably send you through the wall.
They're huge.
But actually, it's only part and parcel of this sort of rather rugged frontier lifestyle that they have to live, going in asteroids. But they also do buildings, mining. They basically, where anything is dirty, as in get your hands dirty, not dirty metaphorically speaking, has to be done. You call them Boromites, and they do it.
Right on. Tim has been waiting to say all that. Well
I
said.
did not realize that they had been created in the Second Age. Like, Boromites have been around forever.
Yep. Yeah.
That's crazy.
Okay, so for those of us new to the system, and the backstory, first, what age are we currently in?
7th.
7.
B, how long generally is an age?
It varies widely. It can be as short as 500 years, but is normally 2,000 to 4,000 years long.
All right.
Yeah, so the ages are based around the gates powering down. So it kind of just depends on when the gates decide to be temperamental, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it could be that the Boromites were actually created towards the tail end of the first age, because that's when Boron was actually found. But nobody's too sure. I'm sure the Boromites would claim themselves to be the ultimate in the pan-human morph. And nobody could beat their phenotyping, and therefore everybody else is just lesser beings. Which sounds a bit arrogant, but frankly, they're not the sort of people who you could argue with.
I mean, you could, but
not for long.
It's going to hurt. You could, but it's going to hurt.
I mean, absolutely, from a Boromite's viewpoint, they are perfectly adapted for space existence in across Antares, whatever system you go to, the Boromites will be able to live in it somehow, whereas other panhumans often have to make quite a lot of effort to do so.
Well, I mean, they're rock, so
They're not all rock.
Yeah,
some of them are
soft
smooth
hearts.
jazz.
That's
So-
what I was
so-
just
some
about
of
to say.
them are smooth jazz, so
Yeah.
not all rock.
Yeah, I sometimes think of Pratchett's trolls when I think of them, but they're not that big. They're probably go up to just a little bit taller than normal humans on average, but they are also much bulkier. The main difference is that it only takes them about 5 years to grow to be the height of a man, and obviously at that height they're also really quite big. But most Boromites are twins or triplets, whereas 5 or 6 is often common.
So they're like kind of like a litter.
Yeah, a litter of Boromites.
Yeah, which is it's cool because they like have a guild system essentially. So like it's a bunch of like smaller families as compared to like a Vard, which would be a humongous flotilla worth of people. Which allows you like a lot of creativity. It's the same thing like when you're designing your freeborn house, you design your Boromite guild, which I find
Guild.
yeah, exactly, which I think is kind of cool. Like I have a whole backstory and stuff for my guys that I like have bumping around in my head when I think about painting them and stuff.
Yeah.
Brag.
I love them. They're so fun.
I don't have my story yet. I have no clue. I just think they look cool, the color I painted. Kevin, you're muted, buddy.
You are muted.
That's
He's a
not good.
quiet person. He's a quiet person.
I
he's
sounded
just a
looked very
Boromite.
enthusiastic.
By the way, we do have a chat. Morzimus says it's clobbering time.
Oh yes, that was the best part. They look exactly like the thing.
Yeah.
But no, I was gonna say, Matt, you can totally lay claims on the smooth jazz Boromites that we've created at the beginning of this. You just build off that.
Yeah. Perfect. Smooth jazz, Boromites.
Yep.
There we go. And what's funny about that is while I paint them, I listen to smooth jazz. So that's
Exactly.
weird.
There you go.
There we go.
I mean,
You got a point.
your leader can be Kenny G. You got Pat Metheny going there.
Oh my god.
Right. No, it's simpler than that. His name's Horn.
Horn. You might want to revisit that.
Or trombone.
All I can imagine is like a battle in like some kind of like gigantic underground facility. I mean, the Concord are like running around the corner, like beads of sweat coming off their face, and all of a sudden it's just like saxophone coming down the hallway, just getting louder and louder.
He turned a mass compactor into a saxophone.
Oh man.
Instead of like a stogie, yours has like a beret and a cigarette.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Hell yeah. It snaps his fingers. Excellent. You guys got it. Perfect. Pratchett.
Yeah, I mean, there's this whole backstory thing which people have created about Boromites actually really enjoying a good drink, actually really enjoying a good hoedown, if you like, singing together. And whilst the fingers are probably a little bit clunky to play the finer musical instruments, they can sing like nobody's business. Obviously, they can bash the rocks together and play drums.
Nice.
And given their lung capacity, they've probably got some really good wind instruments of some kind or other.
Oh, saxophones, of course.
Didge. I guess that's Didge. Pratchett trolls is exactly how I see them, complete with diamond teeth.
Yeah.
Well, my first love for Antares, like when I was looking at it, and I remember the videos when they came out, the first ones I ever saw from the Warlord videos when they were first kind of introducing Antares was the Boromites. That was like the first video I saw. That's where Antares first attracted me. And you would think They would have been the first one I painted because I was so drawn to them. Like this paint scheme was so important to me. I painted one yellow, painted one white, and then I asked you guys, and I asked all of the Antares community, and then I repainted because I don't do those things. I don't do this. Okay, I don't repaint things just because I like the other color. I love them so much. I repainted this one that was yellow back to white. It's not easy.
Yeah.
Well, you have a lot of like. Oops, sorry, Gav.
Oh, you're good.
So you have like a lot of flexibility with Boromites because
Oh my gosh.
in the fluff they take on some of the tint of like their home world, and like the backstory for mine is they're the Guild of the Amethyst Sun. Like they mine luxury resources in my mind. So like I made them all purple, like as if they had like been mining like amethyst and whatnot, and eventually took on the visuals of their home world. So you can like make I literally like looked up amethyst and like tried to color match like my highlights to like the light parts of the amethyst and whatnot. So it's cool because you can just kind of like take any sort of gem or rock formation or like any sort of like mountain and just like take those colors and you have a color scheme.
That's all. Yeah,
See, we're creating Matt's Boromites as we go on because you're blue. So now it's like the cobalt cobras.
Nice.
Well, I have my freeborn who are the Gaudis, and now I have the smooth jazz Boromites.
Yeah.
So we've got a great start.
Yeah. All of your people are from like the 20s.
Yeah. There we go.
I think this is where we have to mention that the Boromites and Freeborn have got this really close relationship.
Exactly.
The Boromites rely on the Freeborn for a lot of their transport around the place, and they also rely on the Freeborn for a lot of the trade. So whilst the Boromites clan may just go off and mine an asteroid and take out some really exotic elements from it, they then rely on a nearby Freeborn ship to transport them. Whilst this could sometimes arise in a conflict of opinion, which may get physical, normally the Freeborn do so at a reasonable rates because basically they rely on the Boromites to actually provide the stuff in the first place, if you see what I mean. And when they're going to new workplaces, the Boromites normally hitch a ride on a Freeborn ship. The Boromites have very, very, very few ships of their own. They're more sort of like clan ships that they have. If they don't have their clan home on an asteroid or on a moon somewhere.
We live in a coffee shop.
It's just like a floating coffee shop, like
yeah, really harsh.
Which is always
the Callahan's Cross Time Saloon, but it's like set in the 20s.
Yeah, I mean, I think it was it Didge or was it H who mentioned about them being like Pratchett trolls? Yeah, I can't help but think the same way sometimes. They're very similar to Pratchett trolls. Obviously, they're not made of stone like Pratchett trolls are, or living stone, but their skins are hardened. They can actually survive in vacuum longer than other people's. They can embed reflex armor emitters in their hardened skin, which means that they've automatically gained reflex armor, which gives them even more protection against low atmospheres or vacuum or everything else. So overall, as an individual, they're actually really, really tough.
It says, "Are we giving Boromite work gangs 80s gang names?" John?
What's up, John Roberts? Your ear. Biggest supporter we've ever had, John Roberts.
Freeborn Company Store.
So Tim, so I have a little bit of trouble imagining what is Boromite like skin actually like. Like I was thinking about that. Like it's not rock, but it's hardened enough to embed metal into.
Yeah.
Like is it like is it it's a weird question. Is it like squishy? Like if you poke a Boromite, is there give?
No.
I couldn't stop thinking about it last night. I was like, what does it feel like when you poke a Boromite?
I think
Wow.
the answer is that if you poke a Boromite, your finger won't give for very long.
Okay.
But no, most of their skin is pretty hard. Of course, it has to be flexible in areas, especially around the joints, in order for them to do stuff. Just like we have. But overall, their skin is thicker than a human's, full stop, which is partly what gives them the extra res on the table. But a lot of their hide is really quite gnarly, and it's almost like I sometimes look at it as a tortoise shell, sort of like studs all over.
That makes sense.
But I don't really want to go down the mutant ninja Boromite route. But
Yeah.
Could it be almost like super hard calluses?
Thought crossed my
yeah, it's a nice way of looking at it. Not Jay, super hard calluses or layers of chitin, whatever you want to call it. I don't know how you're supposed to say it. Yeah,
I think it's chitin, but I don't know.
Chitin.
Well, we
Yeah.
can ask Matt.
What?
How do you pronounce chitin?
Chitin?
Yeah, but if you
Yeah.
actually
Chitin.
see it written out,
I'm Googling it.
it's chitin.
Yeah, it's chitin.
It's for sure chitin. But it's spelled, it looks like
It looks
chitin.
like chitin. Yeah.
Or chitin, that's right.
Hey, I was
That's
the one
how I read
who
it when
told
I
me
was a
needed
kid.
to not say bad words. Listen, you people.
Speaking of like the rockiness, though, is the freaking Lavon species is the coolest part about the Boromites, and the biggest reason why I'm jealous that Sergey got dibs on them is those freaking Lavamites are so freaking sweet.
They're also like insanely good. Like,
Devastating.
yeah, for as far as like cost of, not to like jump from
Oh, you're good, man.
fluff
It's
into mechanics, but like, so like as far as like
all good, man.
cost-effective units, 87 points gets you a 4-man unit with res 8, command 9, rapid sprint for the entire unit, because it gets you get a suspensor platform that propagates out their rapid sprint to the Lavon species, so they can charge 20 inches. They get 3 attacks apiece. They're literally insane. I killed, spoiler alert, I killed a unit of Kevin's was it Freeborn, or was it, no, it was Concord. I killed a unit of Concord with a squad that had been shot down to just 2 dudes. They charged and wiped them off the field without taking any further casualties. They're so good.
That's the most excited.
Yeah, they're so
That's the most
good.
excited I've seen Sergey on any podcast. It's right there when he was saying, "I stomped his ass."
Yeah, it's the truth.
If they are lethal, they are absolutely lethal. Once you're up, and I've been hammered so many times by someone managing to keep the unit in cover so it doesn't take any pins on the way around, because it's sprinting all the time, and the Boromite keeper, the trainer has got an insanely high command anyway, so if he takes a pin he can just shrug it off and doesn't care. And they are just a very lethal unit. It's interesting seeing competitions, because if you see a Boromite player turns up, all their opponents instantly look for the Lavamite trainer breeder unit, and then you find all of a sudden every single gun just focusing on that unit from the very first dice, because opponents just don't want it to come into reach.
Oh, they're so, yeah. Once they're on you, like, I don't think there's anything, even without the Rock Brood upgrade. Like, I don't even run the Rock Brood upgrade despite using the models because they're so cool. Because it's just like, those 3 attacks are going to kill almost anything. I haven't tested them against hazard suits. I think hazard suits might be their foil, but not a lot of people run hazard suits, and they're expensive. So it's not like you're going to run into a wave of hazard suits.
No.
I've been running them. I've been taking a hauler, and this is another point. Boromites, I think, have the biggest power spike when they hit 1,000 points and 1,250 points, because I think they have the most cost-effective and best strategic choices in the game.
They do. Absolutely, they do. Yeah.
So what I've been doing is I've been taking a hauler, loading 2 squads with the tractor mauls in it, then taking 2 squads of the Lavamites and running them behind the hauler. So the hauler will move up 10 to 20 inches in a turn, and then the Lavamites will follow them. And then once the hauler is within charge range, I have it like advance off to the side, shoot, Lavamites charge, then the 2 squads of work gang people charge out. It's an insane combo that like no one can stand up to that amount of melee damage.
Someone will.
Yeah,
That will be
absolutely.
me.
We're gonna think of a foil to that because right now that's our strategy to beat on our channel.
I just need to bring more guns.
You know, well, that's actually a pretty good tactic. I'll have to use that against my son one day.
It's really good.
If you got
It really predicates on your ability to take the transport out, and like Tim and Sergey said, it's like that transport's an amazing choice, and it's res 13.
It's res 13. You can take a battlefield, and you can take shield drones, and it's command 9.
So brutal. So it's literally like if you have even one of those layers of defense, it means that to like take it out. I mean, I'm assuming if I had like something like 3 compressor cannons on the field firing, I might have a better chance, but that's just so much points dedicated to that anti-vehicle that if you can't stop the vehicle, then it's just like, don't worry, my weapons teams will fight the Lavamites. Oh god. Because it's like, I mean, your last hope against Lavamites, it's like if you do not kill them in point blank shooting, you might as well just like dive into their mouths, because it's like they just, I mean, their strike value 3 in close
strike value 2. 3 attack, strike value 2. Unless they're rock brews, then they're 4 attack, strike value 3, which is somewhat overkill, but
yes, and that's what I'm saying. So it's like they fight with the strength of a plasma carbine or a plasma light support, and that literally those weapons already chew through infantry like it's no tomorrow. So brutal, terrifying. The thing of night.
My son fights with with his Virai against the Boromites, so it's literally not as much shooting as you used to.
Yeah.
It's running, clawing, and clobbering.
Yeah,
Clobbering.
Virai part.
What's that?
I said that requires a lot of expert maneuvering on the Virai side.
Yeah,
true.
Yeah, the Virai have to because they're not as good in close combat as the Boromites. They're almost as good, but they have a lot more tricky things they can do to kind of wheedle the Boromites down. Yeah. So it's definitely a cerebral game of beating the Boromites with the Virai.
Well, he does a great job. He even stole one of my weapons. He's got a DBC on his side.
Oh, yeah.
So, which is the fractal wait, I'll get this. Demolisher and breaching cannon. Yeah. Frag bore. I got it. See there?
Yeah, well done. Yeah.
And he's got that on his side to help me out.
It's really the Boromites are deadly against Virai, and in particular because they are stronger in hand to hand, and the Virai fundamentally a short range army, I think, with a few close range things in. Against other peoples, though, as long as you can keep the Boromites at a distance, you can deal with them. Trouble is, it's very, very difficult keeping them at a distance.
Yes.
You want to pin them. You want to like throw thousands and thousands of sling net rounds at them, or have like lots of net ammo.
Yeah, you do. I had one game where somebody though advanced his rock father into the middle of the table, hid it behind some terrain, so he was down and he had all the rest of it. I put 8 pins on this rock father. It refused to go down, and all he did was just sweep in the breeder, the hatchling breeder, the trainer, in, and just basically start at one end of my army and go down. By the time we reached the middle, of course, the hatchlings had picked up some pins, but of course his rockfather's sitting in the middle of the table in range of its command facility, and even though it had 8 pins, the blasted larvans just kept kept on going and going and going. It was awful. And then at the end of it, the Rockfather got rid of all his pins and stepped out from behind his cover and said, "I win."
Nothing hurts more than when you like get a guy to like right below pin threshold, and he's like,
Yep.
"Oh, I recover. Oh, I rolled a 6."
Ah!
Yeah.
So frustrating. But
Yeah.
yes,
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
the case. But that's a really, really good use of Boromites, I think. Yeah, is using the Rockfather, their command 10 units. They're the best unit you can have in the Boromite force on the human side, pan-human side. Sorry, Boromite. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
side.
Yeah, we get you.
Yeah. And he's actually using him to supplement the potential weaknesses of the other. It was just brilliant.
Yeah, I've been running for my command units. I've been running Aron Gestelon or Gestelin. I'm truly not sure how to pronounce that name,
Pretty
but
sure that's right.
as a tactical choice, because you can choose to run her as a tactical choice, which means she's actually pretty easy to fit into like a 500-point army if you want to. And then you have a leader with command 10 and also rapid sprint. So if you're running like a Lavon themed army, she's one of the few leaders that can actually keep up, which I really, really enjoy.
Yeah, and she could have the matriarch on with her as well, and she's got a couple of gun drones, isn't she?
Yeah.
Mhm.
You know, that's
Drone? That's amazing.
that model I do not own. The one with the that's on Tim's screen there. I have that.
Oh, that's like one of the coolest models for Boromites.
That's the Gildes on Locomite. Sorry, I was thinking of the Gildes on the Locomite. I was also thinking the other which is good is the Gildes on
The Dispenser?
with the that's right, with the matriarch.
Oh yeah, I haven't actually run the Gildas or the Rockfather yet. I tend to not run like high command units.
Yeah,
so I haven't really tried them yet, but I'm sure they're awesome.
Oh,
they're expensive.
Yeah, they're very expensive.
They are expensive. That's exactly right, and that's probably the reason why I keep losing. Because I keep taking a Rockfather because I just enjoy the model so much.
It's such a cool model.
Yeah, I really like the Overseer model too.
Yeah.
And they're also very cost effective. You can see how I build lists. I'm all about points efficiency.
Yeah, but that's the great thing.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, that's the great thing though about Antares is it responds to a narrative approach really, really well.
Absolutely.
And the ultimate narrative armies are the Freeborn and the Boromites. You can create your own, and you know that you're highly likely not going to go against the law, as it's already been published or produced. You've got such a scope in terms of defining its leadership, where they're based, what they've done, their interactions, the intimate details of their lives. And it just sort of encourages so much imagination, I think, in those armies. They are just lovely. And as a result, you end up building them because it looks good.
Yeah.
As you just said, Boromites, I do love trying to run all Lavamite armies, which is actually quite difficult, all Lavan species armies, which is actually quite difficult because you do need some humans from time to time to take objectives or to actually do things like go into a house and say, "Oh yes, there it is," and pick up that thing before Indiana Jones gets to it.
There's an added layer of Boromites and Freeborn working together narratively too, because most of a privateer's list is made up of Boromites and Freeborn. I'm actually currently building these Japanese maskmen themed Freeborn in hyperlight armor to command my privateer list that is going to be in my fluff part of the Guild of the Amethyst Sun, which is my Boromite guild. Cool. So they're all going to have the same paint scheme. Like it's like you can almost like build out an empire when you're playing Boromites and Freeborn because they all mesh together.
That hyperlight armor is going to look so cool with that gold theme.
I'm so excited.
So it sounds like I made the right decision on the Freeborn if I want to do more of a story-driven based.
100%.
Absolutely not, Jay. Yeah, absolutely. It's brilliant. And that's one of the great things about them. There are some flexibilities in the Boromites if you even just go with the core lists as well as what you can do. I've had people who in the past have said, why take the mag weapons? But there are experienced Boromite players who actually point out that, to be honest, if you've got a couple of units with mag weapons, they're not too expensive. So they can actually hang back and provide that cover fire which the rest of the Boromites need going forward, and that's the mass combatants, the work gangs, and that sort of stuff.
Yeah,
I wonder what player that would be.
I've actually noticed, like as
mag weapons,
like as a power gaming scumbag, there is actually a viable competitive usage for gang fighters. I know a lot of people kind of get down on gang fighters as they don't have the firepower or cost effectiveness of the other. Yeah, but so most Antares tournaments are narrative tournaments, and most of them require objective carrying, which means that one to two of your units will never shoot, which is why the hell are you spending an extra 15 points on a squad to have better guns if they're never ever going to shoot and they're just going to carry an objective? That is where you definitely absolutely take a work gang, because they're command 9, they're under 100 points, they have armor 7. And you're not spending extraneous points on something that you are literally never ever going to use.
Absolutely, and that's one of their vital roles. It's a case of just saying, go and take that, go and hold that, go and pick that up for us. Yep, and they'll do it. And with command 9, they're unlikely to fail, even if their leader gets shot. So.
Yeah, this is true.
Exactly. Yeah, they definitely have their role both in narrative and competitive play.
Yeah. I mean, what other sort of? I know that you've faced Boromites rather a lot, Kevin. How do you deal with them? So how do you deal with them?
I mean, so I would say learning from my own lessons, basically, kind of like what you said with like other players when they're dealing with Boromites, is like Boromites are a faction where you want to know going into the fight what they're capable of. And so that said, Lavamites are capable of destroying basically any unit of infantry, and so deserve target priority. And you basically answer them with their huge advantage is in their toughness and in their melee. So you have to answer them with high strike value, numerous, firearms. So basically trying to keep them at bay. It pays to maneuver in a sense that, it's like entrench your units that are going to be more vulnerable in difficult terrain, because the Lavons and the Boromite, or I'm sorry, I think it's just the Lavon that their agility is really not good. It's 3, correct?
4.
4, okay. Still, that's not great, because if you're talking about, if you entrench yourself in a bit of light forest, for instance, or not light forest, I guess normal woodlands or above, that -1 to res becomes like your best friend, because if you can put yourself far enough into the area terrain piece, it'll have their distance and they might have a failed charge.
Yeah,
that's one way of dealing with them. But other than that, I mean, if they're bringing a hauler, you definitely want to have that priority be to try to destroy the hauler. If you have a compression cannon, something like that, plasma cannon at least, helps. And then if you have anything like Algren or anybody who has maybe like a more melee centric unit of Ashgar mercenaries, whatever, you want to make sure that is the unit that is being, accepting the charges from these insane units. Because basically, once you've whittled down the Lavons or the Boromite melee units in general, once you've killed a few individuals, it really, really lessens their ability to just absolutely trash another unit like in that even match. So that, I mean, basically just try to shoot the crap out of them as fast as you can, and because you can't pin them down. That's the thing, is the Boromite, you might slow them down with pins, but you're never going to like pin them out, because it's even with Sling Net, or in net ammo, it's going to require multiple units to sink fire in one unit to cause
Focused
it
fire.
pins, which is just, it's crazy. So it's like you kind of just have to shoot the crap out of them and hope for the best.
Yeah, pin them out as best as possible.
Yeah. Also, don't be afraid to like run away from them. Like
Exactly.
if they're about to charge you, sprint away from them 15 inches, and they can't charge you, and they've wasted a turn. And you can waste enough turns from the Boromites that they just peter out.
Yeah. It can be done. It's more difficult in the sense that they are very aggressively costed too, though. So the numerous factor, if someone's definitely focusing on like regular lava mites and things like that, is that you're going to have like a freeborn or one of the lower cost armies to be able to outmaneuver them based on initiative and things like that. Like with Concord, it's kind of terrifying because you're just like, I don't have enough order dice, Norman.
Yeah, I think Concord might be that might be Concord's worst matchup potentially.
Yeah,
they don't have a lot of answers to Boromites.
Yeah, once they get in close, they're like, "I'll bring plasma grenades," and you're like, "Just give up. You're good."
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think D1 drones are possibly useful to counter Boromites. You may need a fair few D1 drones because they've got excellent range with that plasma light support, and they've got strike value 2, which can start to help. So you can actually get rate of fire and penetration, but you just can't take that many of them, really.
Well, Ruben has joined us. He says hello to everybody.
What's up, Ruben?
Ruben, also the best.
It's good to hear from you, Ruben. I see your pictures all the time. And of course, Mini Warmont has to pop in here and say, dudes, happy 4th. So,
happy 4th, yeah.
Yep, 4th of July weekend. This is going to be a fun day for me. So, as far as Boromites, I hear you guys and how you take them and stuff like that, which is totally different in how I build my list. And that's what the beauty of games like this. You can build them. My son is a type of player like you, Sergey. He is a cost-effective, but yet, how do I put this lightly, like not Jay did? He has no soul.
Yep. It's okay. We're power gaming scumbags, and I hope that's on my tombstone. I hope I'm buried next to all the other power gaming scumbags in their own special graveyard. It's okay.
Yeah, it'll be like a binder of the meta chained to your obelisk.
And Not Jay is going to be my Sergey. So, Not Jay, this will be your first time ever being a power gamer, okay?
Yeah, that's not going to happen.
How about story-driven power gamer?
I am so story-driven that
we both are. It's going to be very different games, and that's why I think if Not Jay and I do battle reports, it's going to be very different. We're going to have so much story. We're going to bore people to death.
Oh yeah.
But he's still going to.
That's Antares, though.
Yeah,
it is full of story, and that's how the scenarios work best, and that's how it plays best.
See, that's why I always got my butt kicked in that other game from that part of the world.
Yeah,
is that I would build to a storyline, and somebody would come in and just waffle stomp me.
That is the most common question here. It's Ruben. The most common thing I see is what Ruben's saying about getting plastics in the 2nd edition. And matter of fact, I wouldn't buy the plastics. I love the metals.
I also actually really love metal models. I like plastic models too. I don't like resin models as much, but
in my opinion, the Boromites need to stay metal because they are heavy.
Yeah, they're made of rock.
They're made of rock. They're heavy metal, like heavy rock.
It is definitely a cost thing, though. I mean, I understand that like plastic models are significantly cheaper than metal models.
I don't know.
And it's often that sort of stuff which actually gives a real boost to a faction as well. If they actually come out in plastics, if the core units come out in plastics, it give boost to that faction because players can actually buy 4 or 5 core units in plastics relatively cheaply, and then just flesh out the rest of the force with the units that to them add a lot of value to that. And so it helps save them a lot of money, if you see what I mean. I'd love to see more plastic. I'd love to see Boromite plastics, but obviously at the moment we just don't know what's going to happen. I don't know what's going to happen because everything's so dependent on what happens with this whole COVID stuff. So
Yeah.
Makes sense. Yeah.
Ruben, if you want to help it along, share videos like this.
Yeah, exactly.
Shameless
Yeah.
plug moment. Shameless plug moment.
Yeah.
Share it
Yeah.
with your friends, family, and go over to Tabletop Warlords over on
Tabletop
YouTube.
Warlords
Definitely.
on
Yeah.
YouTube.
That's right.
Watched
On YouTube.
watched their season 2 opener yesterday.
Oh yeah.
I just love if you share their channel. It's Kevin choking Sergey.
Yeah.
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 I was not expecting
throttling.
Yeah. It's actually a Polaroid that Kevin's girlfriend took of us at one point.
I honestly was not expecting that.
Right here for when we become
Yeah,
famous.
there it is. we'll
The
sell it off.
Polaroid.
Oh, I was not expecting that.
My girlfriend was like, "You guys are just terminally nerdy." I was like, "Just take the picture."
So Ruben is asking yesterday when he went to the Warlord Game Store and heard rumors. Well, that's all they are, is rumors.
I'm
Give
so
us
jealous.
Give us the eyebrows. There, rumors. Somebody
Yeah,
says
I mean,
rumors.
the trouble is the worst place actually to go and ask people about information is the store, because
game stores are the worst. They're the
Always.
best. Don't get me wrong. I love going to my FLGS, but yeah, they're the worst for rumors.
Yeah, I mean, this is even Warlord's own store, which I think Ruben went to yesterday, and there's nothing fixed. There's just, we just don't know at the moment. It would be, we know that plastics would really give a faction a boost, but one of the big problems is that as soon as rumors get started, people start leaping on it and saying, "Oh, what about?" And it's sort of, well, actually, no, we don't know. I don't know. I really don't know.
Stop asking me.
Yeah.
We don't know what we don't know.
Tim, I've got a question that I don't know how involved you are with like the supply line of models, but what is the impetus of a company to make metal versus resin versus plastic?
It's quickness of getting up on it's cost and speed. It's basically, if you want to make a metal model, you can get it doesn't matter if you get a digital artist or a physical artist to make a master. You can shove it into a mold. They're silicon rubber molds basically, and you can get them done. You can get a whole ring of them done, say 7, 10, depending on how many molds you want in that mold, and then you can create other molds from that master mold if you like, or you can actually just go ahead and just start casting almost straight away, because the basic stuff is actually fairly the stuff to set up is fairly cheap there. However, metal is now starting to become a bit more expensive because of the way the world is going and all the rest of it. So hence you get looking at people with resin, but to do resin, it's a more expensive kit. It's you've got to be a little bit more careful about how there's two types of resin. There's the new Warlord resin, which is how the model's coming out, and that's expensive kit, and you've got to be very careful about how you balance stuff and produce it, but the resin itself is much cheaper. And the other advantage there, which you've got to think about, is that it's much lighter. So that a box full of 48 metal models actually weighs quite a lot when you post it out, whereas 48 plastic models is a couple of sprues perhaps, so which is weighs next to nothing. The problem is you then go up in price even further and you get into the plastic side of stuff, and people sometimes just look at just getting the plastic mold itself made, and that can range from 5 to 20,000, except prices have risen lately. That's pounds, by the way. Prices have risen lately, and 5k is a very, very small sprue. You get a very small sprue. So when you're talking about £20,000 outlay for that, and you then obviously have to print an awful lot of it to actually get money back on that and actually be able to sell them, but you still got the design side of that, which is a little bit more involved than it is just for the individual models, because you've got to make sure that what you design can actually be supported by the injection process. So it's about complexity and costs and price and balances and delivery and all the rest of it. So it's not just a simple, here's a few metal models, which you can do and people did in the past. It's also about how do we get this out to people?
Yeah, it's really interesting that the cost of production is the exact opposite of the cost of the model. It costs more to produce plastics, but plastics cost less.
The price per is much less. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. But so really, you've still got to produce loads in order to get your money back on the upfront stuff. So
yeah, so it's a what's the word I'm looking for here? It's a risk cost to
risk reward.
Yeah, risk reward cost analysis. Okay, yeah, we're going to lay out, $100,000 for the production of a new line. Are we going to make that $100,000 back and then make a profit?
Yeah.
If we do this, and if that's not going to happen, then you're not getting plastics.
Effectively, it's a stark, very utilitarian model. But yeah, absolutely, that's the way it is, and that's why, in some ways, that Games Workshop can actually produce so many plastics and actually afford to fill some of their boxes with so much stuff. I looked at one of the Lord of the Rings games when it first came out. The new set first came out, and it was the box wasn't too heavy. The heaviest thing in it was the book, the rule book.
Yeah.
But you've got so many models, all of them plastic, so that postage wise, your heaviest thing is the book. So shipping wise, you're saving money, but they can afford to do so many plastics because they've got the size in the first place and the marketplace in which to sell them into.
That's very interesting.
I mean, I think I like my Concorde. I pick up a Concorde and I'm expecting plastic. Maybe that's what it is, but
well, because Concorde are cheap, dirty.
And when I pick up a Boromite, I want a model that feels like a rock, man. I mean, it makes sense. It does.
Yeah. I mean, with Games Workshop, I actually snipe out metal models. Like I will purchase if there's an eBay auction going on for a metal version of a plastic model that exists, I'll get the metal model.
Yeah, I mean, some people prefer metal because of its weight. Others prefer plastic because it's more easily adjusted. What we haven't mentioned, of course, stuff like the resin vehicles and ships, for example, which Warlord produces, and that's a really different process. It's something called an artisanal process.
Yeah, this is a resin model if anyone's.
Yeah, so is the Broodmother. Yeah,
the Broodmother is as well.
The Broodmother you can put on the end.
And let me tell you something.
War Club.
I love Warlord's resin. It paints well. You don't have to scrub the heck out of it. You do, but you don't have to scrub like some I scrubbed a few resin models that I've gotten from other companies and stuff like that, and I've had to scrub the crap out of it because I tried painting it with GW spray paint and it beat it up on me because it still had some of that mold release on it, So, but it is really good stuff and it's very detailed. And if there is a problem with your resin, which I had one kit that had a couple bubbles right on the surface, I just sent an email and they sent me a new one, and I said, "Hey, I'll send this one back." And they said, "Nope, keep it."
Oh, Warlord's customer service is big amazing. Shout out to Warlord's customer service. I've never ever worked with a wargaming company that has as good customer service as Warlord's, hands down.
Hands down.
Yeah, that's lovely.
It's so nice,
guys.
It's Tim's customer service.
Is that you? Is that you doing that?
It's the Warlord customer service team is as you know, they've won several awards for it, and they are absolutely fantastic. They really are good.
I was about to say, Tim, you can't do all these jobs. You're gonna lose your mind.
No, Tim. Slow down, sir.
Several calls like during
So
this entire process.
I was just looking at some of the questions which should come up on the chat.
Let's see. I believe it's going to be the perfect timing with something community hype. Let's see. Oh, I can't wait for a second edition, a new starter box. Honestly, cannot wait.
Oh yeah, me too, man. Yeah. Me too.
Yeah.
Yeah, John Roberts says it's demand required to hit an economy of scale.
Yep.
You see plenty of people showing newly painted armies in the Intel Facebook group, which is awesome.
I know. I've been very excited about, and that's like the reason me and Kevin made our YouTube channel is that we were like kind of bummed out at how like light the community was when we first started playing, and like our mission statement has always been we want to get people playing Antares because we want more people to play with.
Yeah, and on that note, you know what I mean, just like John Roberts said, I mean, it's building the community as much as that demand is what's going to help develop the game. So literally, like I said, share videos about it and be super cool. I love the Intel because it's just like nothing but positivity. Everybody is super great. I mean, and that's just the best thing is when you see people posting armies and everybody being like, hex yes, let's do this thing. And that's exactly what the community needs is just that attitude all the time because it literally just so much.
Wonderful. And I that's why I made the videos. The Let's Build videos that I made. I mean, because there was nothing out there, showing how to build these things. I mean, there was some had instructions, some didn't need it, whatever, or just something to watch out for. Because when I build models and build kits, I always look for those videos.
Gotcha moments.
Yeah, well, those videos of like, oh, how did he put that together, or how did he paint that, or whatever.
Yeah. And another thing about this game, which just, I mean, we've said it several times on this program, but like the other thing is that when Tim's I love Tim's always putting out stuff where it's like community engagement, like help create storylines, make up mercenary units, and that is like I think a very unique and amazing aspect of Antares is it's literally like you get the opportunity multiple times to actually like help and add and be a part of that growth. And that's the best part about I think this hobby is it's still there's a lot of lore already created and everything, but there's still so much room for community interaction to help craft the story, craft the different factions and stuff. And like the Nexus is an amazing resource.
Awesome.
Because you can, I mean, literally, if you look on there, it's, someone has a cool backstory for their army, it's put up and it's something you can read and it's something that can inspire you. And it's pretty sweet. It's really cool.
And the Nexus is great, especially when I was looking for my Isaurians and my paint scheme for them, when I ended up with something like brown, green, and blue. But for some reason, my Antares armies are all blue. Anyway.
Because blue's the best color.
I don't know how they ended up like that. It just did. But I looked on the Nexus and was looking at all the other Isaurians going, hey, look at this. There's none that are painted like this. Because originally I was going to do a flesh tone.
Somebody just posted a really cool flesh tone on the Intel. I forget his name.
Well, go check it out on the Intel.
I will. I'm gonna give him a shout out. Don't you worry. I'm typing furiously.
Well, I mean, I've made 76 build videos for 76 different kits for Antares. You can ask Not Jay. This is the one game that if I go on playing other games, I always come back here.
Yep.
I always come back to Antares.
He won't shut up about it.
The complexity of the game. I mean, me and Sergey were just talking about this the other day because I mean, I got 2 starter sets for Star Wars Legion, haven't quite put them all together yet. And we were just looking at the rule set, and it's cool and it's fun. But when you play Antares, the complexity of the strategy is just bar none to any other game. You know what I mean? There are range modifiers. There are the terrain.
Really the only miniature game that gives me a bit of an adrenaline rush.
Yeah, I mean, it's literally like it makes you sweat when the lava mites are about to, charge you and eviscerate you. But it's also sweet. It's like there's so many different options to, you know what I mean? Like just the fact that there's not only other orders and then there's basically an equal number of reactions is just so cool. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I can't play like war games that don't have reactions anymore. Like I'm just like I feel so static.
You know what?
Yeah. And like the whole like
Antares.
your turn, my turn.
I played the whole first year of Antares. I played without reactions because I didn't know they existed.
Oh no.
And my boy, we were playing a game and he goes, I would like to react. I said, you can't do that.
Making stuff up.
Yeah, I thought that's what he was doing. And he goes, here, Dad, page, look. You're kidding.
Yeah, it's super cool.
Changing the game.
It changes the aspect of tactics so much because it's like Sergey said, it's you don't feel static at all. And it just makes you. It's just this kind of almost like it's anxiety inducing the amount of options you have because you're like, do I shoot with this guy right now, or do I hold back and wait for a reaction so that I can like answer someone else's shooting or charge or something along those lines.
I almost, it's kind of like in a weird way, like the Magic the Gathering of war games, in that it just has like an endless amount of depth to it. And like every turn can have so many different iterations that you can't even really plan. It's a really, really interesting, very reactive, very interactive war game. Oh, and that guy's name is Sampo, by the way. Sampo on the Intel.
Awesome.
With his really awesome fleshy Isaurians.
Shout out to Sam.
Yeah. Sorry, what was I thinking there? Sorry, I lost my train of thought there for a moment. It's that dice draw. Core.
Yes.
I don't know what to call it. It's the
activation
core mechanic in the rules, and that's what really adds so much, and that's what changes. One of the issues was that they would early on in playtesting years and years ago in version 1, they had to rein in reactions because it almost became a case that somebody would draw a dice and then some react, and then almost a whole army was reacting. Just in the same way, we've had to rein in things like follow orders and the synchronizer drones because somebody draws an order and all of a sudden everybody goes, and that's just.
I sometimes think that's a trap. Is the follow order. Like it definitely, when I was a new player, I was like, obviously follow order is the best thing in the game. And
following.
Yeah, I played it a bunch, and it puts you on the back foot a lot. Like you get your whole army out, you do something, and then you're like, oh, now he has an entire turn to do whatever he wants, and I can't react to it. It's definitely a balance thing. Yeah, I overused the follow order when I was a new player.
Yeah, and it's easily done. The trouble is, of course, it had to be reined in because it was being used by some people as a first strike capability. Especially with some of the heavier artillery. Bring out a couple of dice, and all of a sudden, enemy units wiped off the table, and then with another dice, another follow order, and then boom, there's another one gone off the table. So it's that sort of there's a balance there, which has to be maintained simply because of that. The core mechanic is that dice draw,
which is great. That's why I liked bolt action. Now I saw the reactions. And I don't play bolt action anymore at all. I mean, World War II for me became pretty static, and it's hard. You can draw tons of stories and things like that, but it's not like Antares for me. I have to have creative freedom,
Yeah, I understand what you're saying.
I'm the same way. Like I respect historical wargamers a lot, but I like to be able to make up my own stuff.
That's why I picked English Civil War. That's why I picked the Hoplites, because literally you have creative freedom because, in English Civil War, nobody really wore a uniform except for the New Model Army. And they wore their own clothes, and as far as ancient hoplites, they really don't have a lot of history or historical information on what exactly they wore, just really pretty shields. So
Yeah.
that's what I've discovered. That's why I love fantasy as well. Is because I have that creative freedom, and with Antares, I think it gives me my Star Trek-y kind of creative freedom, and I don't play Star Wars or paint Star Wars because I feel like if I got the Star Wars models and painted them something different, Nache would stop being my friend. And
dude, have you not seen my models?
But no, yeah, you're 100% right, because that's just where Antares like does so well. Because like even the Concord, even the Isaurian, it's like they don't. You can still just create your own. I mean, like if you get on the Intel or the Nexus, I mean, there's so many different people. Like this Concord faction is their gate collapsed for 100 years. It's reactivated, so they're just like a little bit weird, and it really. Like no matter what faction you play, you know what I mean? Boromites and Freeborn are obviously the best.
The Concord Reapers were specifically designed to destroy Viri. So
exactly. Yeah. And so you can come up with really, really cool. And then like Tim said, it lends so well to the narrative and the campaign that those two factors are just great. Cause like all those other games, even 40K, you know what I mean? Everything is so iconic and already to some role, you know what I mean? Like, there's a bunch of different Space Marines, but they still all have a flavor that is specific and doesn't really encourage you to deviate, so to speak. Star Wars the same way, I mean, any of those games. It's just, but Antares is such a blank palette while also having this huge reserve of background fluff to help you kind of engineer that, but it really does just like open up at a certain point, and that's amazing.
Mini Wormut says, well, I'm waiting for Beyond the Gates of Antares Strike on Car 9 starter set to arrive. Woo! And then he says, it better be good or it's Matt's ass. I'm getting kicked.
Side note, me and Sergey, it's next weekend we actually have our unboxing set going to be released, and I'm going to just go out on a limb and say you're going to be very pleased. It's a fantastic box set.
It is.
Yep.
And I was giving those away at the convention.
Perfect to get people in the hobby.
Oh
yeah, you're giving those away, and
you didn't get one.
No, I didn't.
No.
That's harsh.
You gotta win.
Yeah, I know.
You gotta win to get one.
In fairness, Kevin never gave me a box set either. So
I did win. So
you got to be the first winner.
Oh, that's what it is. Second winner is first loser. Is that what you're saying?
I ran out by the time he played. So
that's hilarious.
But, it is an excellent box set, especially to teach you the basics of the game. But I mean, honestly, you can't have Antares, I don't think, at all, if unless you have Boromites. In my mind, Boromites are a staple, like we were saying earlier. I think they are my favorite faction, looks wise. Playstyle, it's close first place between the Concord, because I love Concord's playstyle. Having thousands of shots to pin people down with, especially the Gar, and I'd say Boromites are right up there with them.
So I've got a quick question on pinning. Is there ever the ability to cause a unit, a team, if you will, to lose complete combat effectiveness 100%. Because you've pinned them so much?
100%. Yeah. So in a couple different ways. Who wants to take it? We all started. So there's a couple different ways. So the first way is just having an inordinate amount of pins makes you pretty ineffective. You have to do a recovery order, which takes you completely out of a turn for a turn unless you're a Mod 2 unit. The other way is that if you have pins equal to your command, you die. you're removed from the you just have a heart attack and die.
So like you're talking about these guys, the work gang or whatever it is.
Yeah.
They've got a command 9, you said?
Yeah.
Yes, so they're particularly difficult to do that.
Right,
too.
but if I pin them 9 times, if I put 9 pins on them, they're off the board.
Yes,
Yeah.
and there's a lot of things that can produce
Counteract
like double pins. Like there's sling net ammo, which produces double pins. There's net ammo, which produces 1 to 4 pins. So like getting good, so getting good at both dishing out and dealing with your own pins is like the thing that makes you good or bad at Antares, I would say.
Okay, good, because there's 2 games that in particular that I play on a regular basis that you're not necessarily looking to put wounds on a character or a team, but your best bet is to pin them, and that's Chain of Command, and we lost Tim.
That's okay. I'll be back.
It's Chain of Command, where if you lay down enough pins, they're going to be thoroughly combat ineffective, and then
but you can give a rally order, and it really my camera's off again.
Yeah,
there we go.
And then also Ambush Alley games. Oh Lord, yeah, their game.
Lord, I never heard of that one.
Shush. Anyway, it's all about, again, putting the pins down. And I prefer a game where I don't have to just outright kill somebody to make them combat ineffective, because in combat you're not looking to necessarily kill. You're just wanting to make them combat ineffective.
Yeah, that's what we were talking about. That's exactly what Kevin.
Every pin you get means your unit is, if you like, 1 step worse. So if you get a pin, it means it's -1 to all your shooting. It's -1 to your command tests. It's -1 to your initiative tests. So you can't react as well. Yeah, you don't take.
How you control the GAR, really.
Yeah. That's the best way. One of the best ways to deal with the GAR is just to dump loads of pins on them so that they just get bogged down, even though they're not killed.
And speaking of GAR, that is going to be our next episode, fellas.
Oh, nice.
Sweet.
We're going to come back and talk GAR, and hopefully I can talk Rick into joining us for that. Maybe. We'll see. Tim laughs. We might as well just get our mute buttons ready and just let him go. Come on, not Jay, spit it out, Mini Warmutt says. Basic weapons like plasma carbines are amazing. Ruben likes Concord as well. So that's all the comments we got right now. So I think that kind of wraps it up. Is there anything else you guys want to mention about the Boromites that you like, enjoy, hate, loathe, eyebrows?
They when y'all are coming out with your another add-on to the Boromites, you need to have some sort of little insectoid like dude that one of them carries around. I'm just saying.
Well, I'm definitely turning one of my mass compactors into a saxophone, so we're gonna have to.
There you go.
Oh, you absolutely have to, dude. Yeah.
Yeah, I just gotta think of a name. I gotta think of a name for them. I don't have a name, like the Cool Cats, something like that.
The whole faction, the
Cool Cats, and it's KOOLKATS.
KATZ, yeah, absolutely.
That's exactly
the Cool Cats.
The Cool Cats.
Yeah.
All right, there you go. You named it. They're the Cool Cats. That's what it is.
You need to green stuff some zoot suits on your commanders.
Oh,
yes.
Cool. I have hats.
There you go.
Gotta have fedoras.
I also have I have berets too somewhere.
Some Barretts.
Yeah, I'll have to put some berets on some of these guys. But I actually in my list, we were talking about that earlier. I use, I've got 3 units of the mag weapons and 3 units of the max compactors. So I use a kind of a mixture of both.
Oh, mag guns are still good.
So
They're good.
my mag weapon guys will have the berets. My mass compactors will have like the zoot suit feel to them. So cool cats it is.
Yeah, I would, as we said. I mean, people have asked about it. I would love to see plastic Boromites, but I don't know. I really, really, really don't know when or if they'd come out. If they did, I would certainly buy a whole bunch of them because I don't think I've got enough work gangs or gangers. But that's something. As soon as I know, and I'm allowed to say so, I'll mention it to people. But we just don't know.
Mini Warmut says, "Oh man, go another hour. I just got here."
Yeah,
we'd love to do that.
Just swing over to the Tabletop Warlords. We forgot how to film, so our latest one was 2 hours long. So that's the
Exactly.
No, it was longer than 2 hours, son. It was like almost 3.
I don't know if it broached that far, but
It's like 2.5.
yeah.
It went to turn 6. Like Gates of Antares games very rarely go to turn 6. Yeah, that's a good game when it's like that even.
Yeah, actually, I found the opposite. I often find my games go right down to the wire, and it's really do go right up to the end of turn 5 or turn 6.
Yeah, I mean, my Boromites will hang in there, and I've noticed that compared to, the Virai. My son gets the Virai so close, so quickly.
Oh yeah, yeah. Virai either win or lose on turn 3. Like how the game's gonna go on turn 3 with the Virai.
Yeah. He just he distracts me a lot. Like the Virai are he'll weapons drones, and that anyway. You get what I mean. It's just he has a lot of distractions, and you're like, should I pin that one? Should I pin? Wait a minute. Should I pin that one? Oh, what? Oh, this one over here. Oh, crap. And I just feel that way with the Virai. That's kind of like the feel they have, and my Boromites are like, it's cool, whatever.
And lazily drag a cigarette.
Yeah, I love that the Boromites are shown with cigars. I also love in the fluff that they're the only ones that are actively pointed out as running drugs throughout Antares space.
Oh my god!
So
that's just vicious rumors.
Hey, it is in the book. I read it.
It says teddy bears clearly on this crate.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mini Warmut last comments here. He says, "Crap, gonna have to try them too. I can't do Boromites because that's Matt's boys. The cool cats, man." And we Didge says, "Glad to have caught you guys live today, even though I'm actually at work."
Yeah, it's good to have you, Didge. Thanks for being a patron. You're the best.
Yeah, man.
Seriously, we got like 3 patrons on this.
I don't have any. I'm jealous.
Because you don't have a Patreon page, numbnuts. Can't have something that you don't have.
This is kind of like my hobby, man. It's like hanging out at the game store. That's my YouTube channel. That's kind of what the atmosphere that I like to give. And nothing against that. I do a Patreon. I do this. I just want to keep it free, man.
It's Sergey trying to get out of the restaurant.
Yeah,
it's also way too much work.
Well, it's not. I'm willing to put into work. It's just the fact that I want this to be like you go to a game store, you can sit down at a table and you can paint, you can talk, and
chat,
and things like that,
and just hang out and not cost nothing.
Watch somebody play a game. You know what I'm saying? Like, I mean, that's kind of how I've always designed it. Or you can go and look over my shoulder while I'm building something. You know what I mean? It's kind of like that's kind of the atmosphere I've always tried to portray on the channel, and I'd love to do a patron. I'd love to do one, but I just want to continue to keep that atmosphere.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And
that's the beauty of like wargaming. There's space for like a lot of different types of stuff. There's there's people who do build tutorials. There's people who do stuff like this, which is like casual chats and whatnot. There's a little bit of everything.
And it's just a hangout feel. That's exactly right. Mini Warmut. That's kind of my channel. It's kind of like it's a hangout feel. I'll do videos when I can, and which, by the way, I am going to announce. Guess what, Tim? I have not done a build video in 2 years. I have one.
Oh, hell yeah!
I have a Let's Build video. So,
what are you building?
I can't tell you.
Tell me.
No.
Tell us all. We told
Do
you
it.
about our unboxing video.
Yeah, but I've done an unboxing of Strike on Car 9 already. Otherwise, I would have done one.
I would have done one.
I was first. No, I'm just kidding.
No, that's
probably going to be a
empirically true.
much,
You were first.
Matt,
much better video.
I would have done an unboxing
Yeah.
if you'd given me one.
Never forget.
He's so ungrateful. I gave him a mini rule book.
We're gonna be like 18 episodes down the line, and not Jay's still gonna be asking you for a box set. That's the new meme. That's the new meme of Antares Adventures.
Yeah, and every post I post, I still haven't got my box set.
Yeah.
But I gave him a mini rule book, and he's still unsatisfied. I mean, I don't understand.
Yeah, well, it is what it is.
And the Tabletop Warlords guys, I mean, if you love Antares, and chances are, if you're watching this live, you probably do. Go check them out, man. They're funny. They're
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Kevin's fun. Sir Kate. No.
Yeah, we got a couple of questions in the chat there.
Yes, we do.
So, Didge, love to discuss your channel, content creators. What setup do you guys have? So we use a Sony A6300 camera, and we currently have a couple lavalier mics from Rode coming in the mail. So our sound
Rode
quality is
mics are fantastic.
yeah, and they're so cheap. It's crazy how good they are for how cheap they are. Yeah.
They're fantastic.
So our sound quality will hopefully improving. As far as lighting goes, we use DigiB lights. DigiB. Yes, they're cute and effective.
It's very warm.
Yeah, they're really hot. And for editing, so obviously Matt uses StreamYard. For editing software, we use
I use
Adobe Premiere.
I use Power Director for editing.
Oh, okay.
StreamYard for live streaming. I also use another program, Audacity, for the podcast.
Audacity is good.
I use Sony Premiere. What else? There's something else I've got. What is that program? Anyway, it doesn't matter. But I use Yeti mics and Rode mics. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 cameras. All my cameras are either the Logitech web cameras, which I have 4 of those, and the other ones are I have one Canon. I have some 8-mans, little bitty streaming cameras. I forgot about those, and my cell phone, which I use quite a bit for like build videos and things because it's the easiest.
Yeah, cell phones are good.
Yeah, seriously.
I just have a 1080p. I just recorded in 1080p because you can process it into 4K. It's probably the easiest way to do that.
Well, YouTube can't even handle
Doesn't
4K.
process.
Like we shoot in 4K, but none of our videos are in 4K.
Exactly.
So it literally doesn't matter. It just slows down our damn computers.
I try to stick with 30 frames per second, 1080p, 30 frames per second. That's usually what most people watch.
Yeah. It's also something that can be handled by most available bandwidths. You know, I don't know about you guys over there, but over here during the lockdown, the Netflix and all the rest of it really started pulling down the 4K videos.
Oh, that sucks.
Down to normal stuff anyway. So you know, you might as well just get standard definition rather than the HD. I just, for the Freeborn Shard, all I use is I did have a rather nice mic and an external mixer, which went into an internal digital mixer, Voice Meter Banana, which I still use now. But nowadays I just use headphones. Standard headphones, nothing special. Voice Meter Banana is a virtual mixer, and Audacity to edit the output. Because that Audacity is just fantastic.
It's because you can directly grab MP4s like this.
Yeah,
throw it in there and it becomes an MP3. It converts it, things like that. So, I mean, I've my editing about Power Director is my favorite out of all the editing software that you have. It literally does everything. The one on the computer has more than the one on the phone, but you can use it on your phone and it makes HD to 4K. I try to make my build videos 4K, but everything else I really either 720 or higher or 1080p, and that's it.
Yeah.
Because there's no point in producing it in 4K when people can't really watch it,
Mhm.
And 1080p is good enough, to
True.
see
Good
my
stuff.
hands, to
Yeah.
see my, all the crap all over my hands in every video,
Mhm.
I get people saying, "Why are your hands so cracked, man?"
Because I work.
Clearly
Yeah.
you bite your nails, Yeah, I've gotten some really fun comments because it's so 1080p is just so detailed that the 4K it's just not why bother. It slows down.
Mhm.
That's what we use. That's a great question. We've been on for longer than an hour this time.
Yeah.
This is wonderful.
We
If
got
you
a
guys
really
have any
active
other
chat
questions,
too. Thanks
yeah,
for commenting, guys.
keep going. We'll keep going if you guys want us to keep going.
That was Warmat. That was Warmat saying he wanted the extra hour, didn't he?
Yeah. Well, it's looking like he's getting it. Let's see.
Yeah,
If there's another question.
Hey,
here,
warm up
too.
when you're on the ramble. You'll see how difficult it is sometimes to go longer.
Yeah.
I'm just saying.
I got to take this opportunity too, as far as setups and everything. Shout out to all our patrons because I actually just used their support to get myself a brand new computer to edit.
Cool.
It's going to be amazing. I was using a toaster oven in the form of a Surface.
His computer was horrible.
It was like
it was so bad.
Gigs of RAM, and now I have 128. I'm so happy. It was like I would edit a video, and when I went back after making the sound, getting rid of echo and stuff like that, Sergey was like, "Oh, at this point, you forgot to roll this dice, so put in a little text blurb." And I'm just sitting there like, it crashed 30 times. Right, and I'm just like,
I have to say, guys, that's one of the things which you keep on being praised for, was that when you make a mistake, you do put a little asterisk up and say, no, this should be
I noticed that
131 points as opposed to 141. Yeah, things like that may sound as if it's not much, but actually people really do appreciate it.
On the most recent game that y'all did, where something you rolled a 7 and you said it went away or did something, and you plopped a little blurb. No, shouldn't have gone away on a 7 or whatever.
Yeah.
So that especially for someone who is learning the game or just getting into the game. Stuff like that, because if we're watching this and you say, "Hey, this is what happens," and you don't put up a little blurb saying, "No, that was wrong," we'll get the wrong connotation on something.
Yeah.
So that is very important that you do that, and not too many people are willing to say, "Oh, we messed up."
Oh yeah. As far as an editing standpoint, I'm sure a lot of other people literally probably just gloss over it because they're like, no one's going to catch it. It's whatever. And it's that's one way of doing it. But, the other thing me and Sergey like to kind of remind people is it's like war games are complicated. I mean, we already talked about earlier, Antares is one of the most, just involving rule set because there's so many things you can do, and so it's okay to remind. I think it's important to remind people that it's you're gonna get things wrong, and the game isn't gonna be any less fun because of it. You know what I mean? Me and Sergey have always said it's I'll be like, oh crap, I accidentally thought that my weapon was stronger than it was, or with the rolls, you think something dies but it doesn't. But the thing is that if your opponent doesn't catch it and call you out right then and there, they're basically operating under the exact same, they just assume oh yeah, that seems right,
As long as you're both playing by the same rules, who cares? Yeah. We'll often do something wrong and then lock it in. We'll be like, all right, we've been doing this wrong. We're gonna finish doing it wrong for this game. Otherwise, the game's gonna get wonky. Yeah.
And that's if you're halfway through the game. I mean, if it's just one or two in, one or two instances of that particular thing happening, you can go ahead and say, whoa, wait, we've been doing it wrong. Let's go ahead and change it. But if you're halfway through the game, you gotta, oh, I want to change it now. No, okay, stop being your weasel face. Stop, doing everything you can to win, you weasel face. And
is this about somebody?
I used to tournament game in Austin.
Yeah.
and
I'm not
Austin
used
is. I will
Not
tell
always-
you that they never played Gates of Antares down there in the sense of a tournament play, but if they had, I would probably have been completely turned off on it because of the type of players in Austin, Texas. No, don't get me wrong, there's a lot of great players that aren't like that, but the tournament scene down there is just egregious.
Yeah. And
Well,
that's
I've done that on my build videos. I've openly admitted. I've actually said the words, instead of typing it. No, I'm just kidding.
You're wrong.
No, when I'm building something, and Tim, I
Wrong.
knew it, and I was hoping that Tim didn't see it. I was hoping he was like, I was
Asleep for
was
the rest
hoping.
of the world.
I fixed it in my next video. Okay, but when I first got the Viri, I put the legs on backwards.
I purposely put the legs on backwards on my
Okay.
viewer. I think they look better that way. They look like scything talons from the Tyranids.
But I was one of, many people have had them, but I was one of the first ones to put out a video for the Viri.
Yeah.
And I wanted to get these so right. I was so precise. And then at the end, after the video was up and posted, I watched it. Oh, crap. Well, I hope he doesn't notice this. And then Tim messaged me.
Oh, by the way,
Yeah. And I said, don't worry,
but
I'll fix it.
But actually, that's really great. When you see a modeler who knows what he's doing actually make a mistake, it really helps us
That's
to
why I
say,
love-
well, actually, we've got to do something here to actually help people. So that really gave me a great argument to go back to the studio and say, guys, look, could we actually have some really specific assembly instructions for these, which is what we did, and that's what we've actually got. So it's a learning thing for us as well.
Yeah, and that's what in my next video I just said, hey guys, listen. So I made a boo-boo, and this is how I fixed it. And I think, like Tim said, I think a lot of people really do appreciate that. And something that if I ever made battle reports, which were very time extent, that's another thing I was going to tell you guys is I applaud you because they're very time.
consuming.
All told, it's probably like 24 to 30 hours of work to produce a battle report.
Exactly. And that's why I tried one and I had 2 hours of video. It was like,
Not only do you gotta do the time of playing, but then editing.
Yeah, editing takes a long damn time.
Yeah.
My little 8-minute unboxings that I used to do for Matt it'd take me about 30 minutes to video. But wanted to do it just right, and then it would take me hour and a half to actually get an.
It's usually about 3 times the amount of time that you took to film it is what you need to edit it.
Yeah. Like one of our battle reports is usually 200 clips, so we have to edit 200 clips.
Yeah. So and I've got a decent iMac with using iMovie, and which is a stripped down version of Pro. God,
Premiere.
yeah. No. The Apple version.
Final Cut Pro.
Final Cut Pro, which I also have, but holy mackerel, we want to talk about complexity.
That is a very I used it a lot in college. Final Cut Pro is a very arcane program.
No, the new one is a lot better. Final Cut
Okay.
Pro 10 is really, really good, but there is so much. Going from 4 to 10 was a huge step, and there was a lot of people gnashing teeth. Oh, I can't do this anymore. Well, it's because you have to change your workflow, your work process, but that's beside the point.
Mini Warmont says straightforward rules will work. The extras is where it gets confusing.
Absolutely, yeah.
That is the truth, Mini Warmont.
And that's with anything, though. I mean,
yes, you got to give. What you got to do is take the basics of the Strike on Car 9 box, learn those basics, read the rule book, and take 2 units, just 2 different units, and put them against 2 different units, and just go. So things at a time. And I actually, admittedly, I wasn't going to say anything about this, but I will. I have a broken down step-by-step how to play process recorded, and I wasn't going to put it up but I think I might because I get these questions all the time. I'm sure you guys do too.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, Didge was just asking us to do a step by step, and we're thinking about doing a little bit more of that with Kara 9, but I'm not sure.
I was just about to ask: has anybody put up a,
Yeah.
go through the rule book, say, okay, we're gonna on this little 6, 7, 10-minute shot, we're going to show how to do this right here, this one specific thing.
I think Warlord sponsored somebody to do that, like way at the beginning. Is that correct, Tim? Is like the Let's Play guys or something like that did a video like that for you?
Yeah, they did a walkthrough.
Yeah, but the guys over in Ireland, I've forgotten they're called.
Yeah, it's quite
They're
old.
called Irish.
I've forgotten what they were called now. Oh, this is so annoying. Yeah, we sponsor them.
Or the kind of video. Mini Wargaming. No, not Mini Wargaming.
Not miniwargaming.com. They would have been very expensive to
Beast of War. Yeah, well done.
Beast of War,
Beast of War.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, we have, I think we and Sergey had like a la carte videos on the production line where it's basically going to like Najee said, kind of like be more specific where it's like this is moving, stuff like that, because we had a lot of our fans ask us the same thing. They were like,
that's why I've never put them up, because I figured you guys would do it way better than I could. No, I'm serious. You guys laugh.
Really, as much content as we can, Matt. That's the whole goal. Add more content.
Yeah. We can both do the same videos. I'm sure different people will like our different styles.
Yeah, there's people out there right now being like, "Shut up, Kevin and Sergey. Matt's trying to talk."
No,
the thing is,
I'm humble about it. I am, dude. It's like if somebody else can do it way better, and it's two people explaining it because there's two different ways to interpret it or what have you, I find that way better, and then I don't have to do the work.
That's what it is.
We've got people. I think there's several people. There's another. I think there was another group on YouTube that made some like very loose tutorial.
Noise sector.
Noise sector has the best opening where it's just like tiny.
Our intro is never going to be as good as Noise Sector's was, and I'm not even going to try to make it better.
Yeah, Noise Sector actually had a musician as one of their guys.
Is that what it is?
And I think he was a sound engineer, so that'll probably be why their music and sound is so good.
We still know all the words to their songs, like tiny men made of plastic. it's okay,
so Mini Warmut asked, I have been painting terrain the whole time. So I'm going to have them some kind of like vents for the caves of Omega Veridi. And it's just basically, I literally had paper towel, cardboard tubes, cut them out and put, it's called Sculptamold. It's like a paper plaster mixture that you just add water and it hardens within like 20 minutes, and then I basically just peppered it with rocks. So
you can get that from Geek Gaming.
Nice.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Buy his stuff.
Yeah. Let's see here. We got one more question from Ruben that we glossed over and I highlighted. Sergey, Kevin, and Matt, are you coming over to the next Antares Day? You would love it. To the Antares Day in Nottingham. We tried.
Well, we can't. We literally cannot.
Yeah, there's a travel ban.
We live in the United States, and we're now a third world nation, apparently. We're not allowed in
Europe. And our tickets were bought to come over.
For Grim Linkat.
Yeah, Grim
and
Linkat.
we arranged interviews for you with the head of Warlord Games, John Stallard. Yeah. He was looking forward to it, I think.
I was too. I'm so sad we didn't get to go.
At this point, if the travel ban is lifted, I don't know. I mean, I have to talk to the airlines because they better dang well carry
Yeah, me and Kevin are out like $2,000.
Yeah, I was
in plane tickets. Yeah, it's really upsetting.
Really sorry to hear that, guys.
It's okay. It's not your fault. It's the world's fault.
We have to go because a little backstory. My girlfriend absolutely loves to travel, and she has it like broke her heart. So literally, she is asked every day. She's like, "Are we going to England? Are we going to England? When are we going to England?" So literally, if the ban ends, we might just go the end of the year. I don't know if there's going to be an event or whatever. We would love to meet as many people as we could.
I'll repeat my promise. When you come over, I'll take you over our local historical sites.
I can't wait. That sounds so fun. A historical tour with Tim Bancroft is like the dopest thing. That sounds so good.
The real dopest thing would be a historical tour with Rick.
That would also be awesome.
Yes.
He's did archaeology as his degree back in the 70s.
Oh, that's interesting.
He just kept on reading and reading and reading. As a standing joke, I remember him standing in the studio one day and he was commenting on one of our sculptors doing the back of a Roman helmet. And he was saying, well, I don't know, what period is this supposed to be for? And he's saying, it's about 90 AD. Well, if you actually look on the...
That's awesome.
At which point, the sculptor just looked up and looked at the head of the studio and said, what do I go for? I've got these pictures from the internet. And the head of the studio just said, go with what Rick said. Go with what Rick said.
Well, if he wants to come, I mean, I guess we could invite him. You know?
Right.
He's watching this video right now, just like, I'm so lonely.
Let's see here.
I got children. I got 3 children and a wife. There's no way I'd be able to.
No.
That's fair.
Wait, when I'm much older, I will be able to.
How many of your children could fit in an overhead storage compartment?
One.
And one you could crate and put in the luggage bin down below. Alex,
You could have your 15-year-old wear a blue vest and say it's your anxiety child. You need to have them on the plane.
I've been wanting to go to Warlord Games Day, Antares Day, over there to meet Tim, and I had plans at one point, and they fell through because of work. And
It's difficult.
Tim, I'm going to do it. I'm going to come over and visit you.
It'll be great to see you, mate. Really would be great. Come down to Stonehenge.
Yeah. Heck yeah. My wife loves to travel too, but it's
lovely. It's just difficult with a family. It is costly, and you've got to think of what they want as well as what you'd want. You know.
I'm so glad to be an empty nester right now.
Well, Nache, you'll go for me in spirit. How about that?
Yeah, there you go. There you go.
You can go
have like a tablet.
You can,
Yeah, just have an iPad right here, just walking around.
It'll be your Quado.
Yeah.
I was thinking more like I was thinking more of Twiggy and Dr. Theopolis. Bitty, 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 bitty.
Hey, Sergey, there's a comment you were going to highlight. I was just about to do them.
Morzimus asked, how important are transports?
Yes.
And the answer to that question depends on your army, and it depends on your play style. If you're playing a melee army, vitally important. Yeah. That's the answer to that question. If you're playing melee, vitally important.
For the transport.
Yeah.
Well, I hate to cut it short there, guys. I do have to go. We've been on for an hour and 45 minutes.
This was fun.
Crazy awesome. What's that, Kevin?
So this is a good one. Boromites. Very inspiring.
We will do.
Shall we finish with Rick's rule? Just repeating Rick's rule, because we mentioned it and glossed it over earlier in terms of stuff.
Please
at
read
the
it.
start of the Antares rules, Rick actually points out that his theme and his approach to games as a whole, especially where it's narrative, which is, as gamers, we share a common bond not only with each other, but specifically with our opponents, without whom there will be no games to play, no dice to roll, and no reason to collect and paint our armies. All war games are, to a degree, collaborative affairs. Basically, it goes on to say, be nice to each other, just have fun.
And that's what we do.
Mm-hmm.
Amen.
Yep.
Don't be a Richard.
That's another one I'm talking about. All right, guys. Lovely
Yeah.
being on here. Great talking about Boromites. Thanks,
Yeah.
Matt.
No
Yeah,
problem.
thank-
Hey, man. We'll do Gar next time. I'm excited to do it. And
Mhm.
glad you guys came to hang out. We should do this more often.
Always a pleasure.
This was fun. Yeah. Thanks for
Yeah.
watching, guys, too. Yeah. Thanks for all the comments. It was really nice to have like a really active comment stream.
Yeah, and they'll get more and more as we go, and then I won't be able to paint. Everybody else will, and that kind of thing. So just like my ramble, that's basically what it started out to be. I just wanted to paint and talk, and with active chat and more active chat on our rambles and this, it just got busier and busier and busier. And I just can't do anything. But anyway, doesn't matter. But
Wah.
thanks, Tim, for joining us. Thanks, Kevin and Sergey from Tabletop Warlords. Go check them out, guys. Hit their link. They have a link for Warlord. It helps them out, helps their channel out. And of course, you guys, if you guys want to hear or talk about anything, Antares related, any questions, things of that nature, shoot me an email or put in the comments below. Our email is the warroomrambleshow@gmail.com. And I think that's all we got for this episode. Next time's Gar.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Crab
Gar.
flowers.
Tim and Sergey are just super happy.
Yeah. We're doing all my favorites in a row right now. It's nice for me.
Well, we're kind of getting them out of the way. Okay. Well, they're kind of mine too. I think Sergey and I share the same except I like Ixorians. So.
Yeah, Tim is Mr. Gar. Tim is like the resident Gar master over in England.
I wouldn't say I'm a master, but I certainly love the guy.
Well,
yeah,
I'm calling you a master, Tim.
Fantastic. That's kind of you to say so. I'll bring up my. They call me Mr. Gar mug. One of the players gave to me, which was lovely.
That's actually really cool. Yeah.
Yeah,
That's awesome.
Yeah, and Mini Warmut does bring up a good point. Smash the likey.
Yep.
like this video, share it with everyone, please. Share.
Yeah.
It keeps us going, keeps us motivated, and
it helps spread the Antares community.
That is right.
Yeah, the bigger people perceive that there's an online presence, the bigger the actual physical community grows.
and that's exactly why I decided to do this, because it's something I always go back to, and I just want the presence to be there, and I want everybody to hear, hey, this is cool,
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, that's all I got for you guys. As usual, we'll check you next time with Gar. Last but not least, from me to you, ta-ta, and we'll catch you in our next episode of Antares Adventures.
Ooh.